Hey there, everybody. Thanks for joining me for another one-man review. Today I'll be taking a look at Drome by Jesse Lonergan. This is out from 23rd Street, it looks like, is the publisher. I'm not familiar with that. I really enjoy Jesse's work since Hedra, I think was the first one I saw. And one of the things that really struck me in that book was the use of like arcs and curves and things like that in the composition. So this is the dust jacket, but I actually think the cover itself is even cooler and sexier, and I don't like dust jackets anyway, so I'll probably be getting rid of that. This cover shows the other thing that I really like about Jesse's work is that it's very much based on a grid, and so there's rhythm going all throughout. And when those curves and arcs come into it, that's just kind of part of the rhythm that he's creating off of the page. So right there on the cover, you have like this really cool illustration that's setting up the grid nature of the book. And then that grid is reinforced. I don't know if that will show up, but very lightly on the end pages here, you get this very, very faint grid. And then when you flip the page from that, you get the same repetition of the grid, but then you've got it in CMYK. So some really interesting kind of little formal conceits going throughout the design of the book. You could see, again, that grid shows up here, and you're starting to get some of the combinations of the colors, I'm guessing is what this is, that make the palette for the book. That grid becomes part of the narrative in really interesting ways as well, because you're kind of getting like a creation story in Drome. I don't want to talk too much about this story. I think people should get into it and interpret it on their own. It's kind of like a creation myth that follows then a character, and it's a little abstract in the story, or I guess, yeah, like symbolic in the story. So I don't want to get too much into that, but you can get a sense of what it is through the art. One of the things that's really interesting is you have these god characters, and this is form here, and this is spirit. They're kind of the two main characters, and the book is broken down into sections like that too as well: blue, red, yellow, form, and spirit. So those are characters, and I really like this visual trick that Jesse's doing, where the form character's eyes are often lined up right with the gutter. It really creates like a bizarre spatial thing going on where, we tend to think about the gutter as the forward thing, even though it's picture plane in a window that everything's behind. But then by having this character very obviously come on top and put this character's face feeling on top because of the way it intersects with the gutter, but then having the wild things you've created down here behind, and them existing within that, just creates a lot of different spatial confusions. And when you're talking about metaphysical, spiritual beings, I think that's always wise to fuck around with space time and what you're doing. So that was really cool. Then when you flip the page, you really get this nice sequence where they're giving them time. So Spirit here grabs off this little piece and drops it down into the equation of the book, basically. That's how I'm thinking about the grid structures. This is the equation of existence that they've got. And you see that here, it's dropping down and it's going into CMYK. So again, there's like this tie between the conceptual things and the formal things going on, showing how something is created, showing like the structure behind it, all of those ideas. And then this page has those kind of arcs and curves and circles that Jesse Lonergan uses. It's got a lot of systematic stuff like the moon on it, circling around. So very much a page about creation. I like that the CMYK's around the top there and the sides there to make a frame. Just a lot of really interesting design stuff that's linking the formal aspects of the book to the narrative. And then we're introduced to the character Blue as a character that kind of grows out and seems to be like a superpowered character within the story. There's not much dialogue. There's a lot of just pages like this too. So that's what I'm saying. Even though it's a pretty straightforward narrative, I think there's more metaphorical interpretation that can happen just because there's not as much dialogue. So you have this warrior woman character here, that's Blue. Here you see her fighting a shark. Then in the next chunk of the book, we're introduced to Red, who's kind of like this beast man thing, but is teaming up with Blue. There's a lot of like superheroics in here too, which is strange. You have this ancient civilization with people riding around on bears, but then you get like people kind of in superhero suits. So there's some cool battles between characters and things like that. But again, the narrative is more like loosely. I know in Jesse's head this is all very tightly constructed, but because there's not as much talking, like what the relationships between all these characters are and things like that are a little open to interpretation in the book. Then you get some of these really cool fight scenes. Again, you'll see some of that kind of superhero design coming into things while we have, Red being a barbarian and Blue kind of being a warrior woman. This is the type of page design that I remember from Hedra that got me so excited about Jesse Lonergan's work. The kind of grid with all of the curving lines going around it, subdividing it. Very, very, very musical, very cool designs. Love it. And we're introduced to Yellow in this section. This big like fire god creature thing, fire elemental. Again, pretty superhero designs. This page shows really clearly in the coloring that the coloring is skewed to kind of match what Jesse's doing now. If you follow Jesse Lonergan on Instagram, you'll see that Jesse's been doing a lot of really cool, inspirational stuff, constructing images out of stamps. So just taking one kind of shape and stamping it over and over and over in different colors to build up an image. And the coloring in this section kind of mimics that, even though it's digital coloring. I think that's probably, just me as a fan, the next step for Jesse Lonergan that I think, I don't know, I would assume a lot of fans who've been following all this stuff want to see, is to see a book constructed out of some of those more like physical materials that he uses in some of his Instagram things. I think an image like this would be super cool. But I really like to see that the computer coloring in there is matching what he's doing with the physical materials. So yeah, that's the Yellow character. Then we come to the chapter that's about the form character himself, and you'll see that the things that are going on at the kind of smaller level down on Earth with these characters and superheroes and elementals and stuff, these are now having ramifications at a more universal level, and you'll see again the form character here kind of peeking in through the gutters. And there's this rampaging bull that goes across kind of this big cosmic symbol in there. That the form character seems to be like the rampaging bull, is not happy with what's going on. And then as the story comes to some kind of like metaphysical-ish conclusion here, we've got some more just really beautiful pages of design, again split into the CMYK, the grids, the curves, all of that. I really like in this section here, that stamp effect. You can kind of see how the CMYK is going together to make those colors. It's not like on a page like this where you're just kind of getting all potential colors are on there. They seem to be constructed more, particularly around CMYK. So just a really beautiful look to the end of the book as well. So really, really enjoyable book. I know I'm a little late getting to the review of it. Apologize about that. But I've been seeing, a ton of people are recommending this book, as far as I can tell, as like one of the best books of the year, an amazing graphic novel, all of that. And yeah, you can believe the hype. Jesse Lonergan is for real a master of the comic form. And again, following on Instagram, as cool as the art in here is, super awesome. Jesse seems to be someone who's like constantly pushing his own boundaries. So, the design stuff's amazing, and the material play and things that he's doing just make me more and more excited to see what comes next from this artist.
Make sure to like, smash that subscribe button, and ring that bell.